parents that are here. So thank you. I appreciate.
Just so you guys know, I have started the recording.
Oh, thank you. See, we totally forgot to remind you. Okay, so what we tend to do at the beginning of the meetings is do a few introductions. And we don't have very many of us, so let's just all introduce ourselves and tell our kind of our role at Innovations or with the SCC, and then we'll go from there. So Joey, I'm going to let you start.
Okay, my name is Joey Ellis. I am a math teacher at Innovations, and I'm also our SIC rep, which is the School Improvement Council. So kind of the teacher version of the SCC.
Great, and he's recording the meeting tonight too. I'm Pam Pedersen. I am the principal here at Innovations, and I am really always so excited to see all of us together in the same room to talk about students and how we can do better for them. Okay, Shannon, you're next.
My name is Shannon Sweat, and I am the secretary of the SCC. Right?
SCC, yeah.
Sorry, SSC. We have both in the schools. So
yes. Thank you. Trieste, we're coming down to you in the bottom row, middle row.
My name is Trieste. I'm a tutor, mostly language arts and social studies.
Yep. So glad to have a tutor here. Thank you again for coming.
Mm-hmm.
Sam, go ahead.
I'm Samuel Hansen. I'm your Precinct 5 representative on the school board.
Thank you, and always has great updates for us, and we'll do that later in the meeting, so it'll be great to hear. Selena, go ahead.
I'm Selena. I'm a mom. My daughter Delilah is in 9th grade.
She's doing some good science projects too, and assignments. Anyway, Cindy.
I'm Cindy McCone-Binen, and I am also a parent of a 10th grader, Jacob Binen.
And she knows Innovations well. So if you have any questions you need to ask her, she usually knows the answer. And you do good. And last, and I'm sorry to call on all of you, but I know everyone's in different orders on their screen. Lavinia's iPhone. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I have 3 students who will be enrolled to Innovations, 2 freshmen and a junior. Nice to meet you all.
Lavinia, what is your last name?
Tongamana.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got to keep track of who's here, you know. And Carrie, who just got here. Hi, can you introduce yourself really quick? Not everyone has. And you guys, the chat is enabled, and if you need to put questions in the chat, or if your sound isn't working really well, feel free to put things in there. All right. So welcome, and we may pick on other people that come in late to have them introduce themselves as well. I'm actually really happy to have a variety of ages of student parents here, freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. That is awesome.
My daughter is a senior.
Yes, that's right. We've got everyone. So you guys can kind of think about things from a perspective of each grade, and that may come up in conversation. It may really help us to explore some things that we need to explore. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is have Shannon kind of recap and talk about what we did in the September meeting. So she'll go ahead from here.
All right, can you all see the minutes?
Yeah, I would make it a little bigger.
Bigger.
Which Joey told me on all my stuff, and it's a good piece of advice.
Joey, how do I do that? Nope, I know. Never mind.
Is this our,
How's that?
Is it the meeting from our leadership committee or from the SCC meeting?
No.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, you're right. Hey, how about you talk about something else for a second and I'll put in the right the correct.
We'll do the SIC update, and I did the same thing. So just don't even.
Okay.
I was like, wait. So we'll do the SIC update, which is the School Leadership Committee, and we'll go from there. And Mr. Joey Ellis will do that.
Yeah, so like Pam said, the SIC is called the School Improvement Council. So it's made up of different members of the faculty. So like Pam's on it, we have different teachers from different departments. Amanda's our secretary's on it. So it's trying to get the biggest view from all the different standpoints. So as we make adjustments and changes that affect the students, we try to keep that at the center. So we meet the week before this. We meet once a month. The big agenda items that we talked about is, as a faculty, we meet once a week. Well, we meet twice a week. One of those is called a PLC, which is a professional learning committee or community. And during that meeting, it's professional development, things that improve our practice, things like that is what we talk about. The other meeting, we have a couple different options. SIC meets 1 week, and then we have 2 different options. We have a faculty meeting that we can meet and talk about faculty items, and then something called an SSC. And Pam, you have to remind me what the SSC stands for.
Student Services Council.
Okay, the Student Services Council.
Students, yeah.
So what the big thing that we talked about is we decided this year that twice a month we're going to hold a SSC, or a Student Services Council, to focus on students that might need some added support versus doing it once a month and doing 2 faculties. We felt very strongly as a faculty that, especially with all the craziness happening in the world, that we need to put more emphasis on our students and how we can better support them. Once a month, we're going to include our paraprofessionals and our tutors into that meeting as added interventions to help support those students. So like we're going to be meeting tomorrow for our first SSC of the year, and we're going to be discussing seniors, I believe. Is that correct, Pam?
Yep.
So guess what? I
What?
realize I know why I don't have minutes, because I wasn't the secretary until
Okay. Well, I think
I don't have.
okay. We put something. We're going to do better. I think I put
I'll
some.
have minutes.
I took minutes last time that probably were not as good as what you're going to take this time, and they're on the website. So if
Okay.
anyone wants to, they can look at those.
I can remember what we talked about a little bit. We talked about the land trust grant and that it was going to be used for tutors. We elected the chair and co-chair and secretary,
Yep.
and yeah.
And just kind of
That's all I
talked about beginning of the year. It was kind of general,
Yeah.
but we had a lot of questions and discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why I don't have the notes.
Okay. You're so funny. I'm sorry. We should have both remembered that. Okay. So, but that's okay. There's something on the website, so it'll be there for you guys. So Joey, so back to you. So we're talking about seniors, and we're going to do mentor reports on
Yep.
every mentor teacher, right?
Yes, every mentor teacher is going to discuss maybe some students that they're concerned about, maybe they haven't had as good a communication with, and then we'll use whatever resource we can, making more phone calls, or we have our, if anyone knows Gil, who typically roams our halls, he'll make some home visits to make sure everything's good with those students we haven't been getting in contact with, that haven't been replying back to us through our different ways of communication. After that, we talked about attendance and kind of making sure we understood the attendance policy for the district. We decided that we're going to be using our advisory, so mentor teachers are who's going to be marking attendance, since they're the ones that are seeing students' progress in all their classes, making sure they're doing their schoolwork, as well as meeting with the mentor teachers. We felt that was a good way for us to check with that, because attendance is a big deal of how we get funding and all those things. I think that those were the big ones. I don't think there's anything else.
Yeah,
That was really-
that big thing was that we were going to talk about students twice a month and not faculty stuff twice a month. So that's kind of a shift that really shows our concern for student progress and for all of us to be supporting all students. And Trieste is here. She's one of our tutors. And I just wanted to ask her just quickly how she is viewing what she does with students and how maybe that looks like an intervention to her. Put her on the spot a little bit.
What does it look like to tutor students?
Yeah, and do you see it as like an intervention? Does it feel like an intervention with them?
In some ways, yeah, I think so. I've had a couple different kinds of sessions now. Some feel like we didn't get anywhere, and part of it feels just like the communication's really difficult. Most of the students don't turn a webcam on, and I don't feel like they should have to turn on a webcam, but there's a lot of cues from students that I wish I was getting. You can't see their faces, you can't tell how they're feeling, so sometimes they're just teeny tiny little voices on the other end, like not giving any feedback. But sometimes you can hear little like oh no kind of sounds. So the most successful sessions I've had come with a pep talk. And when they do have their webcams on, their faces kind of blush a little bit and they're like, oh no, it's like, we're here to learn, you know, and I know, and your teacher knows that you aren't an expert at this. Nobody expects you to be. And they seem to respond really positively to that. I wonder how many feel like they're shouting into an echo chamber without feedback. Mm-hmm. And I had one who I've talked to her 2 or 3 times now. She just seems so shut down and quiet. But then there's an assignment she's really excited about, and I've never heard so much from her. And that was really nice. So in that way, I feel kind of like it's an intervention. They seemed to feel really good about like, you're right on track, you're right on time, everything's fine, this is going really great. I know you're smart, I know you can do it. The other sort that I am noticing is that kids are having a hard time figuring out how to get everything done. It's no longer like, I come today, they told me what to do, I'm going to get that done and then move on to the next thing, because they've got it all in front of them. They're not sure where to start and how to balance. Mm-hmm. So with a lot of students, I've been asking them like, what are you going to get done today? What's your plan for tomorrow? And then we don't have to worry about the day after that until tomorrow. Like, here's how you make a to-do list. Here's how you check your priorities. Here's how you keep your calendar organized. And I've given really simple guidance, and some of them have just like, this will change everything. Mm-hmm. And in that way, it's definitely an intervention.
Definitely. Yeah. I think any parent anywhere in hearing, if you can encourage your students to access our tutors, and they all have signups on our website, there's a whole list, and there's like a blue link for everyone, and their calendar comes up and the student can find times that are good for them. It's very powerful, especially when we're not together, to be able to get to know someone, even if it took a while. Trieste, think of that person who was so excited. And that was the 3rd or 4th time you'd met with them, right?
Yeah, and I think that session went so well that she'll probably come back to me.
I would.
I hope so.
You know, you can message her on Canvas or something too and let her know, hey, we had a great time, come again, you know. So anyway, back to student interventions. What we can do for students, we're going to continue to do. And we're really excited to have very good tutors this year. And I think given everything, I think our online is going great. And we will talk about that almost next. We have a couple of people who joined us. Bonnie, can you tell us who you are and what you do? And sorry, we don't have enough people I'll keep doing this as people come in.
Hi, I'm Bonnie. I am one of the co-chairs for SCC. I've done it, this is now my 3rd year doing it. I have one student there, Samuel Wilson, who's a junior, and is that enough? That's good.
Yeah, that's good. This just the people that are part of the leadership. If you have questions, you can reach out to them or ask them questions, and we'll all figure them out for you. And Rossicler, thanks for coming. I know we missed you last month. Do you want to introduce yourself?
You're on mute.
You're muted.
There, sorry.
There you go.
I'm sorry, I couldn't figure it out last month, and this time I was having a hard time connecting. I'm glad I got through. I don't know if somebody let me I sent an email finally because I couldn't get through. I'm sorry.
No, welcome.
So, thank you. My daughter is Caitlin. She's in 10th grade. And I was invited last month, but I couldn't make it. But I hope I can make every month now. I am from Brazil, and I think that's it.
That's good. We're so happy you're here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, on to the agenda. I even printed it out because I'm a paper person. I like a paper in front of me sometimes. The things we wanted to talk about with students were kind of generally a little bit of how online learning is going, which I think is good to kind of get out what we think anyway. And I know you all have opinions that are very much based on your own students' experience right now. So we're hoping to kind of put that together and learn a little bit. So we'll do that first. People meet me in my life and they find out, I'm with a school and everything. And they're like, oh, well, are you in school? Oh, you're that district that is at home. Yes, we are. And I always point out to them, listen to the news. What is every other high school all the way around us within driving distance having to do right now? Shut down.
Shut down.
And I am so grateful. I am so grateful that we didn't roll those dice. I'm so glad we did what we did. I think it's been, even though it's hard for kids, I feel like it's much better than having outbreaks at school and going home and going back and going home again. And one way that I know that our kids are doing okay with this is I looked up how many credits our students have earned so far just this year in 4 or 5 weeks. Joey thinks 5 weeks. I thought 4. I don't remember. It's blurring together. But we're only past midterm. And a lot of students, so obviously in traditional high schools, don't earn any credit till the end of the term, which is mid-November this year. Our students already have earned 105 quarter credits, which equals enough credits for one person to graduate from high school. It's 26.25 credits. That's a lot of credit, you guys. And they're not like the freshmen. We're not expecting them to earn any credit really fast right now. We're asking them to get a good pace and to finish at the end of the term. And even a lot of 10th graders, we're happy if they're on track. But 105 quarter credits earned already. I think that's a good sign of how our kids are doing. Sorry about the bird. He will not be quiet when I'm on a call. And I would love to hear more about what your individual students are feeling. But from what we're hearing from students, some are really happy to be home. Some are really happy to feel more safe. Some are really sad and lonely without their friends, but they understand why. And I feel like overall, I'm really, really happy with what we're doing. So I'm just gonna put that out there. I am so glad not to be in these other high schools and be on the news talking about the cheerleaders and the football team all having outbreaks and now we all have to go home. I would be so sad and humiliated, really. So I'm happy about that. You guys that are at school, Joey, you have any more comments about that, or is there any?
No, I mean, I think for the most part, I think Pam's hit it, that there is a very mix of how students are feeling. I think for the majority of it, students have felt good about being home and being safe. It is harder to stay on track. They don't have that motivation of if they went to the school, having their teachers there to help motivate them, and even just being in the building and kind of having that switch turn on of that this is school time versus home time. So I know that a lot of mentoring from all of us has gone into, like Trista was saying earlier, of this is how you set up a schedule. This is how you plan time to do schoolwork and create time. And it's been different. I know, so every weekend I have a group meeting with all my kids and my mentees. And this last week we talked about some time management stuff. And I had a student just say, hey, like I've had to completely change how I've worked. Like I'll do work for like a couple hours, and then I'll watch a movie, and then I'll go work for a couple more hours and kind of go back and forth to do those build-in breaks. And so he's had to find what's good and works for him to be successful. And it changes from being at school versus being at home. So it's been a little bit different.
So
Yes.
if I can speak for just a minute, my son is doing relatively well because he has a schedule. And we asked Howard to put together a schedule of what his classes would look like if he was in school. Like what would he be working on during different times of the day? And it's really helped him to kind of stay on track. He does have some missing assignments, which I'm not sure how that's happened, but for the most part, he's doing a lot better than I thought he was going to. Last year, my kids attended Judge Memorial and did online school, of course, in the spring, and it was terrible for him. And then my daughter is doing great. She's told me, Mom, I've asked you to homeschool me my whole life. Now I'm a senior and I'm finally doing school at home. So she's happy. But yeah, I think it's been a good experience for both of them.
Thanks for that insight. And again, every student is different, but we're trying to get the big picture. We feel like things overall are well. So if your student isn't doing well, let's talk to the mentor teacher. And I'm saying this really so it's in the notes. If your student is having problems or really worried about something or needs a tutor and isn't seeming to connect, we have resources to help them. So that is the exciting thing. Any other comments on that?
I wanted to just say something too. I especially just wanted to echo your thoughts, Pam, about being in a district that called it right the first time. I have been so glad that we've had specific metrics and numeric values that had to be met before we go back. So to me, there was just like, so I'm a nurse, my husband's a physician, we are exposed plenty for our family. We don't need to have it at the school as well. So it's just been really comforting to me to be in a district that has said from day one, this is the plan, these are the numbers. And so Sam, if you want to take that back to the board, tell them there are lots of parents out there like me who are really grateful for that. And my kids have been really, you know, they know what's going to happen. There's not, you know, the go to school, you know, go back home, go, like it's just been really nice to have that.
That's good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Bonnie. Anyone else have a comment on that? I know that's really a lot on people's mind, and I don't want to just rush through the agenda. Although we will have time at the end. If you think about some things you want to discuss, we'll have time at the end for that. All right. Okay, the next couple things that, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to switch the order. I want to talk about parent-teacher conferences next, because that is very much about students and mentoring and you guys as parents. And I asked Joey to put together a schedule of what his last week looked like and what he was doing and how much he spent time with lots of different things and with parents during parent-teacher. And I asked him to share that because, again, it's to help all of us have a bigger view of what's happening. So.
All right, is that a good size? Can everyone read those? Okay.
I can.
Yes.
So what I did is kind of broke down the different types of meetings I have in a week. And then I have some charts that will kind of help show it visually here in a little bit. Obviously, Monday and Tuesday become more planning days because students like to meet with their mentor Meetings on Fridays is typically what happens. So there's a lot of time that goes into these things while trying to also create lessons and answer emails and text messages and different ways of students needing help. So as we can see, like Wednesday and Thursday, most of my days were consisted of meeting with parents, and I did 30-minute meetings. We talked about all sorts of stuff, from how to better support their students in the academically, from being able to help support families if there was stuff that the district could help with, of things going on at home, to maybe help with like technology, make sure that kids had hotspots and computers and all of those things. On Fridays, I do a lot of mentor meetings. Hopefully all your students are meeting with their mentor teachers. That is a very big thing for us. So there's a wide variety. For a lot of people saying that teachers are not doing a lot, I would like them to come and hang out for a day with
Not
me
true.
and see the different things we're doing and the challenges we have of trying to support students, make sure that their technology is working, that they have access to everything, and then also making sure that they're successful in the classroom. And really a big thing that we've noticed is making sure that they're just mentally being taken care of. That SEL component has been so big this year, because we have some students that they just feel like they're isolated. And so like most of my mentor meetings will spend 5 to 10 minutes on just talking about how they're doing, what are the things they're looking forward to. They just want to talk to people and given opportunities. I know in all of our class meetings, we've all tried to give opportunities for students to talk with one another and have ways to interact. Some classes are more successful than others, obviously, because students don't like to turn on cameras and they're shy. But we are trying really hard to give those students opportunities to interact with their other students. But this is just a really brief thing of how my last week looked, and it was for early on in the year until more students start figuring out that tutor meetings are pretty good. This was a pretty light week for me, actually, other than the massive amount of parent meetings that we did. Is there any questions or?
So I know it was hard to add those minutes up, but while Joey was talking, you have to understand, first of all, that he's not putting any of his class time onto those charts. So the times when he's teaching his math 2 classes were not represented, but each of those days represented about 7 to 8 hours of one-on-one contact with a family, parent, with a student. And that's what we do at Innovations. That's it. That really is so different than any other school. And that's why I asked Joey to show that. And, you know, let the minutes show that teachers are really, they're spending full time on meetings, and then they're teaching and they're planning and grading, which I am learning lately is an arduous and never ending task to grade in Canvas. It is crazy. Oh, anyway, I'll talk more about that later. Thank you, Joey. I really appreciate that. And thanks for putting that together. Any questions about that before we go on? The next 2 things we have to do are kind of like things the state wants us to do that I need to share with you guys. So, oh, one other thing is our counselor, Nicole, has started offering circle time for students. And some of you have been in schools before where they do circles as a way of connecting with each other and learning about each other and supporting each other. She has time set up for sophomores, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors to have time with each other to do that online. And she just started this week. So I want to get that out there too. And I told her I would tell you guys that.
How do they access that?
She has a Zoom room that's her account. And she has, they send it out in emails to all the students, like in each grade, with the times and everything. And so it's just like a Zoom meeting like this, where hopefully they can just get on. Yes, Joey?
Nicole also set up a counselor Canvas page, like counselor Canvas class, that your students should have been directed to by their mentors. So if they are not in that, that's the links will be in that page as well, on that class page.
And what's cool about that is there'll be all the information about concurrent enrollment and everything else in there. Oh, put in the minutes, Shannon. Next month, we're gonna invite one of the concurrent enrollment main women that helps students get signed up and register for classes. She is gonna come to SCC and do everything about that. And that will be the time next month when students are gonna be asked to think about concurrent and sign up and get all of that work done so that they can be in classes spring semester. So that is important too. So if you run into other parents, please let them know. So the November SCC, that's what we'll do. All right, anyone need to stretch or anything for a minute? Or are we good? We're good? Okay, I know, do one of these. Everyone stretch in your seat. I'm telling you, it's like we've been here in a half hour already and I'm already like stiff. Okay, so the next two things we're gonna do, the first one is about House Bill 58. And our legislature is very anxious always to tell schools to do more things. They have been for years and years. That's what they do. They have a problem and they say, oh, the schools should take care of that problem. And then they pass a bill and tell us to do things without any money or support or time. And we're used to it, but I always have to say that. So House Bill 58 has to do with schools dealing with cigarettes, alcohol, other controlled substances, and e-cigarettes and vaping, which is a huge thing. So we were asked as part of our, we were told, I should say, as part of our school improvement plan to discuss how we are gonna solve that problem in our school. So I'm gonna show you, I'm sorry, you guys, I really shouldn't be sarcastic about this, but it's, you know. So I'm gonna show you the plan that I came up with and that I have shared with our district people and that will be shared with the school board very soon, I believe, is who it goes to next. So I'm gonna share that with you really quickly. Okay, so I'm gonna move you guys up because I can't see this. I'm gonna put you over there. Okay, so what I've had to put on here is that Craig Scott is actually kind of our PBIS person, but he is really slammed right now, so I put my name on here too. And I showed this to the faculty, which was required by the bill, and now we are gonna discuss it and get input from you guys, which is also required. And I attached our agenda that showed we'll talk about this. And if there's any minutes or any discussion or worries about this, then we'll have that and make changes, okay? So here are some things that needed to be in place. So it was asking about things we already have in place that focus on, and it actually asked about peer pressure and mental health and positive relationships, but it really is asking about tobacco, alcohol, electronic cigarettes, and other controlled substances. So what I said was, one program we have is our health curriculum, which is actually really good. And the state of Utah just kind of revamped it. And they have vaping lessons in there now, and they have e-cigarette lessons. And they talk a lot about how dangerous those products are. So we have implemented that curriculum, and we teach all those lessons. So that's something that we have in place. We also have counseling services, and there's things that are school-wide, like the seminars on vaping, which I think went out in it was on our website and it was in our last couple of newsletters. So the district sponsors some really good, right now, Zoom seminars on those kind of issues. And we have individual counseling for students. And then also I just made sure that it was clear in here that we are using the updated issues from House in our curriculum. And we have the Insight program in the Salt Lake City School District, which helps students deal with, if they get in trouble for doing some of these things or using controlled substances, that's one intervention for them, okay? The next part, can you guys see this okay? Or give me a thumbs up if this is making sense to you and you see it. Okay. Something that we're building this year to deal with tobacco, alcohol, e-cigarettes, and other controlled substances is health guest speakers. And we started this last year a little bit. And I've talked to our new health and PE teacher about this. She was already looking for good guest speakers from different community organizations. And we will have guest speakers that we'll have on Zoom with big groups, like in a student, a whole student setting, or they could go to individual classes, and then the health class has things as well. So we're doing our best to build that. Other pro-social activities that we have, and we'll just look over here. We have school clubs like our Gamers Guild, the STEM Club, and the Japanese Club. We have a service club where we work with Whittier Elementary, and our students, not right now, of course, but they went over the last about year and a half, and we're in a classroom with a teacher and help students with reading and with interventions with reading. And we also have a school leadership program, which is the Student Senate. And over here on the right side is a little tiny bit of research that talks about studies that show when students are involved with something positive, guess what? They are less likely to use cigarettes, alcohol, other illegal substances, or do vaping. If they have something positive in their lives, it helps them to stay out of that. So there's a little bit of research there. And then I put this, so that's basically it. So what do we have? What are we building? And clubs. And how are they dealing with those issues from House Bill 58? Then the other thing I put on here is our agenda. And I made a note that all the teachers were sent this document and were asked to read and approve it, which they did. They were fine with it. So now I'm going to ask you guys the same thing. Do you think there's anything missing here? Do you think this kind of takes care of what the House Bill 58 wanted us to do, or do you feel like there's something missing?
It looks good to me. It seems pretty inclusive.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I really like that it's incorporated into health class for every student.
Okay, me too. And I really feel good about the kind of guest speakers that have come in the past and who's going to be coming this year. And we'll let you guys know about that. You know, there's nothing too crazy that happens, you know, in innovations, but we do really, really try to keep our students safe. And yeah, so this is a lot of this, like I said, we're already trying to do, and we're doing the new health curriculum. So anyone else have concerns? Are we okay with this? Because obviously I would love to have in the minutes. Yeah, give me a thumbs up if you're okay with this, parents. Thank you so much. And you guys who have your cameras off, thanks, Cindy. If you have a comment or you want to give a thumbs up without your camera being on, just please put it in the chat. Okay, so I'm going to quit sharing that one. Thank you guys for, sometimes I know in Zoom meetings it is really, really hard to sit and stare at tiny print and try to take it in. And I appreciate you guys for being patient with that. And the next one even has more tiny print, more and more. This also is a legislatively mandated thing. It's older though, we've done this for a lot of years. It's the digital citizenship and safety discussion. And I know some of you have heard this in past years. Rossicler, I think you were around last year for this discussion. It seems like I remember you helping me with this, and Bonnie. And this is another thing where every parent is supposed to, in the SCC, is supposed to talk about this. So you ready for me to share this? Okay, let me see. Good. So happy you guys are ready for that. And I do have this in English and Spanish. And we can put this, Shanna, remind me, because we need to put this on the website once we talk about it. Okay, hold on a minute here. So when we're doing a whole online learning, you understand that there are a lot of responsibilities that come with using the internet and using district computers and district hotspots, and a lot of times. And here's the House bill that this is, House Bill 213. And basically once a year, we need to talk about making a safe technology environment for students in all of our schools. And parents, you guys need to help us make things as best as we can for students, with us, with all the staff. Here's another rule. We have to make a report to the councils from the district about, all the way up to the school board, about how this is working. And what Sam Quantz is our head of all of our IT stuff this year. And usually he makes us fill all this in ourselves, and he didn't this time, which is like a miracle. So he talks about filters that we use to help students not get to sites they shouldn't go to. He talks about different settings for like a kindergartner versus a high school. And it used to be that it was kind of the same setting for the whole school district, which didn't make sense. Yeah? You guys have a comment about that? Thought I heard someone. We also have filtering that is allowed on certain things like YouTube, Google Images. Some things are blocked for students, but not for us. But now YouTube is open for high school kids, which is kind of new, which is, I think, really helpful, because when you're doing everything online, you have to be able to look at videos and learning things that are on YouTube. So anyway, he talks about management systems and what we do. He talks about things that we do to try to help students be safe on the internet, which is the district's acceptable use policy. And every student has to sign that every year, and all employees have to sign it as well. And it gives a lot of do this and don't do this, which is really helpful, I think, to have examples. When things happen that are inappropriate, we have filters that actually, I get a report every single day of what's going on in terms of internet activity. And when things are blocked, or when someone is continually trying to get to something that's not allowed, I know exactly who it is. I know what computer they're on. I know what room they're in. So that's always helpful. What else? Anyway, he talks about the report that goes to the school board. Let me see, what does this say here? Anyway, you get it, right? Do you want to go through any of that more? I'm going to stop sharing and find you guys again. There you are. So anyway, that's every year. And this year is more important that we talk about this because, why? Our students are at home on the computer all day, on district devices a lot of times, or on district websites. So it's just something to be aware of. And we do have a lot of tools to help students be safe. But you know, there's a way around most rules. So we all have to just be watching. Okay?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is Discord blocked from the school computers?
Which thing?
Discord.
Oh, Discord?
Yeah, they love that app.
Joey, do you know what Discord is? I'm not sure I know what that is.
I don't, but typically if it's an app, that's not something that we have. Trista, did you say that you?
It's a chat client, and you could use it to just like online chat with your buddies, but also like games will have Discords. Like it could be open to the public. And sometimes you need an app to use the app. So I can have Discord app on my phone, but I have to use a chat client that has multiple different apps in it to use it on my MacBook.
Can you spell how is that spelled?
Discord.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
That's not a good name. That's a negative word to me. Like to create Discord with people to kind of fight and pick at each other, but that kind of sounds like a chat room.
It is a chat room.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and to my knowledge, like I don't know how you control being able to just use it with your friends versus being on the internet with whoever wants to join a channel. I'm sure there's a way.
parents kind of keep an eye out for that. I haven't heard about that being one of the most horrible places, but anywhere kids can bully each other, they sometimes do. So if there's things going on with your kids that are making them sad, maybe ask about stuff like that.
Pam, we might want to just put it on Sam Quantz's radar. Maybe send
Okay.
him an email just so he's kind of aware that that potentially could be something.
Okay, I will do that. And then
It's very,
yeah.
yeah, it's very popular. All kids know about it. They all use it. All of them.
So I guess the question would be for Sam to figure out if it should be blocked on school computers or just not. I don't know.
Right.
But thanks
Right.
for telling me, and I'll ask him.
I can also bring it up at the next board meeting because I'm sure Sam
Okay.
will be there as well.
Thank
Sam.
you. Yeah, anything where our kids are going to be sad, and they're already sad enough and lonely, and they don't need anything more. So we'll try to see what we can do on that.
I would just add about Discord, all three of my children use it because they get together with their friends online, and it's a very easy way for them to stay connected. And so for my kids, it's actually not a bad thing. And they use it, like my son right now is gaming with 5 of his buddies, and they're all chatting together on Discord. So it's not entirely negative. But
Okay.
it has potential, so there's, there needs to be parental awareness.
Okay.
It could be maybe a little disrupted during the classes. That's the only thing that I think, I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a way to make it something that we can turn off when we're in a class.
During the school day or something.
But have, because you'd hate for kids that had district devices not to be able to use it if others that were using non-district devices were communicating. I mean, it's just a balance always with a situation like that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you brought it up because I hadn't heard of it either.
Yeah, all of us are a little slow at those things. I am, I'll say that. You guys are like, oh yeah, we knew about that. I'm like, what? So anyway, it's good to pay attention to what kids are doing, and there's always new things, and they use technology very, very fast and quickly. Which is why we're trying to say, hey, you got to be safe and you got to do the right thing online, especially when you're on district computers, because we will know what you did and you won't want to get in trouble for it. So not that most students aren't doing the right things. I think they are. So these, the English and Spanish version of this at least will be on our website, probably in the SCC area, because it's one of those things. So you can read through it a little more closely if you want to. All right. Any more thoughts on that? Okay. It says we're going to talk about trust lands funds, but we're going to skip that. We are using the funding on almost exclusively on tutoring because we feel like that's the most powerful thing for our students. And we've talked about it several times over the last couple years with parents and SCC. And we always kind of come to the very clear agreement that that is something that really makes our school different and it is worth spending a lot of money on. But we'll talk more about that in budgets and stuff later. But we have about $40,000 is what that is every year, 36 to 40. Any comments? I just thought I heard someone else talking, but okay. Next, if we don't have any more questions, we're gonna let Sam talk to us a little bit about the school board. Have any of you watched any of the school board stuff online, live, like the meetings? We start laughing.
I hope we're entertaining.
It's very entertaining, Sam. Okay, so anyway, take it away. Tell us what you need to tell us.
Okay, well, for those that watched the last meeting, this will just be a recap, but we talked about all sorts of things. We had a discussion about school resource officers. We have since about a year and a half ago had a memorandum of understanding with the police department. And so we have a much more sort of tightly controlled relationship with the police department than many other school districts do. But I think it'll be no surprise to you that we've heard from a lot of parents that want us to look at whether or not that's something we want to continue. so we talked about that a little bit, and we looked at some data. I have a report that was actually sent to me after the meeting. That's all the juvenile citations that were given by SROs from June of 2013 up till sometime this last year. So if you're interested in that issue, the most interesting thing to me, sort of at a local level about it, is the way that it's funded, I think. If you'll permit me to editorialize it. So it actually comes out of money that we give to the redevelopment agency as a part of long-term property tax income agreements. Then they give some of it back to us in a fund called the Urban Issues Fund. And then we pay half the salaries of the SROs out of that money. So it's an interesting, somewhat Byzantine way of financing those positions. And I've had a lot of people, and I think my colleagues have had a lot of people questioning whether or not those dollars would be better spent on nurses or social workers or people like that, especially given the situation we're in right now. So that was a discussion that was started at the last meeting. We had some policy items. Some of them we got to, and some of them we didn't get to. But they were mostly pretty small changes. But if you're interested, they're in the minutes, or you could just look at the agenda and see the changes that were made by the policy subcommittee. The big thing that you probably heard about or saw if you were there was the update from the superintendent about his meeting with the health department. The superintendent, Larry Madden, and our board president, Melissa Ford, meet every Tuesday morning with all the superintendents and board presidents in the county, along with the county health director. We are still, it sort of goes almost without saying, in what would be considered a relatively high risk situation, according to most of the CDC guidelines and other guidelines put out by big research and university organizations that have put out some kind of policy or way of tracking risk for COVID. But we're also seeing, of course, that our youngest kids in the county, at least from what we can tell from the county health department, are bringing home the smallest number of cases. And so I think it's fair to characterize, it's always hard speaking as one board member because you don't want to speak for people that disagree with you and misrepresent them. But I think it's fair to say that we all have somewhat different outlooks on this and are hearing different things from our constituencies. But I think that we're generally supportive of the superintendent's cautious approach right now, and agree with what he said in his presentation, which is that our first priority when it gets safer should be to look at ways of bringing younger kids into schools, as soon as it seems possible based on our criteria and kind of the ethos of what we've set out. And then he shared that his recommendation would be that the next steps would be elementary small groups, and expanding those small groups to maybe include students in 3rd and 4th grade who are transitioning to more independent and abstract work, students in 5th and 6th grade needing support in math, anybody that needs supplemental or extended learning, and other needs that would be determined by each school. So those are kind of the things we're looking at in the future. And I think, I'll say for myself, I agree with what Pam and Joey said, that I think we made the right call. It was a tough decision and it hasn't been easy for anybody, but I think that the next thing we have to kind of look at as a board and a district is, what do we do when things do get better? Because the plan that we have now basically says that when we get to 5% and 10 per 100,000 or fewer, that we'll go to the hybrid model. I think from what I'm hearing in other districts, that you know, not even thinking about the risk of COVID, but just thinking about the way the school day flows, the hybrid model might not be the best way of doing a kind of partial return to the classroom. So I think that's maybe the next big conversation that we will have to have. The other thing that may change the landscape a little bit that the superintendent shared was this thing called the HERO program that he's been talking to some people at the University of Utah in the state about. The HERO program is Utah's Health and Economic Recovery Outreach Program, sponsored by the Governor's Office of Management and Budget. And basically it's a program to bring some testing into schools. So we're going to hear a more detailed report on that on the 20th at our next meeting.
Is that COVID testing?
Yes. I can read you a little bit of what.
I thought so. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, so let's see. So basically, I'll read you a little bit from this document that he sent us. It says how we test. Testing occurs on site at schools. After verifying personal information, our team will ask a small set of questions about a participant's recent health and activities while maintaining social distance. A 2 cc, approximately half a teaspoon, saliva sample is collected. The collection process takes less than 15 minutes. At the end of the collection, the samples are transported to the lab for testing. Partners at ARUP conduct a polymerase chain reaction test, or PCR, to confirm presence or absence of the virus. So, you know, this is obviously something that could expand our ability to bring small groups back into buildings, as we've already been doing on a very limited basis throughout the district. So it's something we'll discuss hopefully in detail, and hopefully we'll have some new information about it on the 20th. I just feel like I've spewed words at you all, but do you have any questions I can try to answer for you?
I'm sorry, is that October 20th?
Yes, October 20th, Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure that brought a lot of information for people. I bet that was like everyone exploded. I missed, you know, I tried to find it that night and it was kind of late, and it just said, oh, the video's gone. And I thought, well, maybe it's over. But then I heard it went till like 11:30. So it wasn't.
Yeah, I think it may have been our longest, if not our longest board meeting, our latest end time in my brief tenure.
Wow.
So.
Well, there's a lot going on, and people are so passionate, and we're all just trying to do our best, you know, and I'm glad the board took the time to do that. Okay. Any more thoughts about, we are bringing some students in. Can I tell you what we're trying to do? First of all, we have a lot of seniors who are seriously in trouble with credits and are feeling discouraged. And one of the things we're trying to do with those SSC meetings this month is try to figure out the seniors who most need to be in the building some, to have someone work with them, to have tutoring in person with, of course, socially distanced and all that. But we are going to be bringing seniors in very small groups or singly to try to jumpstart their efforts to get graduated on time. That's our first effort. We already have a couple of seniors that are doing that. We also have, who else is coming in, we think? It's kind of just on an individual basis. There's some students that just really, really, really need someone with them in the same room to get work done, or to help direct them, or to help them with a schedule, like Triste said, that just needs someone to walk through, what do you need to do on Mondays? What's the class meeting? What are you know, all of that. And they're just not gonna hear the message over the phone or by email or in a Zoom meeting. So that's really who we're focusing on. And there are some students already in the building like that, on a very limited basis. We do have like 12 classrooms. And also on Wednesdays, students are coming in to take the fitness gram, which you guys probably know what that is. and to take pre-assessments. So we have tutors who are in the building working and can have then maybe 5 kids in a big classroom and them to proctor them taking tests. And obviously kids aren't getting done with credits if they can't take the tests. So that's something that we're also doing. And those are just, those are things we're just figuring out and getting going.
And
Yes.
and students are signing up for this, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, Joey just actually got the whole thing set up so students can sign up on a certain day in a certain room, and we have a limits on how many can sign up in one day. So yeah, as students are trying to get done with classes, they have to sign up to finish, or if they want to do the pre-assessments. So that'll be good. Any other questions? It's the time in the meeting when we can just talk, and if you have questions for Sam or Joe or whatever.
There was another thing we needed to talk about.
Yes.
The staffing.
Oh, yes. We have a staffing change that I need to announce to you guys. We are going to be looking for a new science teacher. Mr. O'Brien will no longer be teaching at Innovations. And I have been helping with those science classes right now. So I'm like acting teacherish and trying to do grading and trying to plan lessons. And it's been really fun. The kids are awesome. They're very flexible. They're understanding of different changes. And a lot of us are working to help their experience be better. But we will be looking for a new science teacher. So if you hear if your kids say something about, why is Miss Pam teaching biology? Well, it's because I'm helping. So yeah, thanks, Joey. I didn't write that down on my paper and then I forgot. Any other questions? Anything you're thinking of? We're a little bit over an hour. Usually I'm really, really strict about 1 hour. But so if you need to go, thank you for coming. Otherwise, we'll hang out here for a minute, and the minutes will be online, the recording will be online, and the documents will be online.
I wanted to share a little bit. You asked how COVID is impacting families and schooling online, and something to do with that. So Delilah obviously is attending Innovations completely online. However, I have a son as well who cannot do online schooling. We tried it in the spring due to some difficulties. It is not a good fit for him, so we opted to take him to a charter school. So I feel like our family is kind of getting the worst of everything. We're still getting all of the exposure because I have a child in school, and we're doing all of the online schooling with Delilah. And also driving to South Jordan when I live downtown every day, twice a day. It's really hard, but I think overall, I'm happy that we're all online, and just recognizing that different families, have different needs, but there are options to solve for that. So, I mean, I wish that he would be super motivated and work for me, but he won't and hasn't for he's turning 12 for 12 years. So, but anyways, just even though like Salt Lake said, we aren't doing school in school, there are options for the parents that need to be in school. So I still think it's the right choice. Anyways, I just wanted to share a little different perspective because we're doing both. So
That's a good perspective, and you'll be able to maybe help other people weigh options and try to figure out what's better for them, if it gets to the time where you can choose.
Yeah, so far it's going pretty well. They haven't had any student cases there. They did have a couple of cases in their kitchen staff, but that's the first that we've seen, and we've made it to the middle of October. So far, we're just going to keep crossing fingers. And
yep. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Anyone else have anything to say or any questions? You guys should know where to find me too, like literally email.
Hey Pam, I
Yes.
need to log off, but if there's
Okay.
any additional notes, will you just let me know?
I will. Thank you for being here. I think we're about done.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Shannon. I'll see you soon.
Okay.
And if anybody wants to get in touch with me, my phone number and email are on the district website if you just go to the board tab. Selena, if you want to talk about your son's experience at some point, I'd be happy to just to know what's going on and what sort of that
sure.
shows you. Just shoot me an email and we'll find a time to get together and talk.
That sounds great.
Thanks.
Well, you guys are awesome. I appreciate you so much. And we can go ahead and finish the